Happy July 4th and welcome to our church.
El Camino Queen.
Welcome to our church. We're so happy that you're connecting with us once again, or maybe for the first time. Welcome. We hope you're having a wonderful July 4th weekend. If this is your first time connecting with us, visit our website at elcaminoq.org. There you can find out more information about our church and let us know that this is your first time connecting with us. Today we have an extra special message for you. I know this message is going to bless your life and it's going to bring hope to your life. But before we get to the message, let's come together and sing with our worship team.
Thank you so much, God. We love you, Jesus. You turn our mourning into dancing. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Come on, let us sing. We say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Amen. I am pressed but not crushed, persecuted, not abandoned, struck down but not destroyed. And I'm blessed beyond the curse, for his promise will endure, and his joy is gonna be my strength. Though the sorrow may come from the night, joy comes in the morning. I'm trading my sorrows. I'm trading my shame. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. I'm trading my sickness. I'm trading my pain. I'm laying them down for the joy of the Lord. Come on, let's sing. We say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Amen. Let's sing that again. Yes, Lord. We say yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord. Amen. Thank you, Jesus, for moving in our midst, God, for being here with us, Lord God, through our pain, Lord God. You break through the darkness and you shine your light, Lord God. You give us your peace. You're here with us. You bring us healing, God. We worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, working in this place. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, moving in our midst. I worship I worship you. Oh, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. Oh, I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. I worship you. Oh, oh yes, waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Oh, that is who you are. That is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are.
Welcome to our service. We're so glad you have connected with us today. And if this is your first time, we certainly hope it's not your last time with us. And if you're in the United States, we want to tell you Happy July 4th, Happy July 4th weekend, or anywhere in the world. We're just so glad you have connected with us today. And if you fall asleep during the message, the best way to actually finish it or see other messages is going to our website, elcaminoq.org, or downloading our app, El Camino Queens, and any other digital platform. So today I want to start this message is actually with a story that I'm not so proud about sharing, but in every relationship, one of the two, in every marriage, usually one of them is a saver and the other one likes to spend too much. In my relationship, my wife is a saver, so you know that, and the other, I'm the one that likes to be spending easily and a lot. So this week I bought a scale on Amazon. So when the box came, my wife opens the box and she said, "How much do you pay for this?" And at this moment, I know what's coming next after the question. So I don't really want to say how much I paid, but I asked her and I said, "How much you think I paid? Or how much is too much?" And she said, "Well, for a scale, I don't." And I asked her, "You think $40 is a lot of money?" She said, "For a scale, I think it's too much." A scale, the one that gives bad news in the bathroom in the morning when you go home. I guess I like bad news. But anyways, at this moment, the tension was high because I just said $40 and she found that $40 was too much to spend on a scale. And then I was thinking to myself, what would she think or what would she say when I actually tell her that I spent $140 on the scale? In reality, I'm not proud of it. There's a lot of things that I'm not proud about my decisions. And I know, what? And the reality is that I have participated in every bad decision I ever made, financially, professionally, and relationally. Not about who I married, but in my relationship, I have been the guy behind every decision that I ever made. I've been there. I was the main guy in every bad decision that I ever made in any of the relationship. I talked myself into problems. I talked myself out of exercising sometimes. I talked myself into eating dessert. I talked myself usually into so many things that today I regret. I talked myself and I felt like a sucker to this phrase that says, "You also might like," when I'm browsing online and buying stuff, "you also might like." Or that other phrase that a lot of us, or most of us, fall for, it says, "Customer who purchased this also purchased." It's embarrassing for me to share that, but I'm a little comfortable about sharing it. And the reason why I'm comfortable about sharing those things about me is because I know that you have participated in every bad decision you ever made. You were the mastermind behind all your greatest regrets, including your worst spending like me, or your worst relational and professional decision. Any bad decision that you made, you were the mastermind. You were there for it. You were the one that actually thought of it and actually did it. And one of the things is that in our lives, every day in the morning, we face our greatest challenge in the mirror. In the morning, we face our greatest challenge every morning in the mirror. The person that is the hardest to lead is yourself. The person that is the hardest to lead for me is myself. And reality is that you are difficult to lead. And I'm difficult to lead myself. And you should know this. You know why you should know it? Because every day you attempt to lead yourself. So today, for the rest of the time with you, I'd like to talk to you about leading the person in the mirror. Leading the person in the mirror. And reality is that when we are socializing, when we're talking with friends, one of the most that we usually do, and as a pastime, is criticizing the national leadership or the other party. That if we're not from that party or the other party, I'm speaking for myself. I have found myself sometimes criticizing the other party, but in reality, I've realized and I've learned in my life that I've done more to undermine my own success and progress than any political candidate elected to the office. Basically, I am responsible, more responsible than anybody, of the stuff that have gone wrong in my life. So that's why today I want to talk about leading the person in the mirror. This isn't funny. It reminds us that we have hard work to do. But it's important to talk about it for three reasons. It's important to talk about leading the person in the mirror. And the first reason is that you will never be a leader worth following if you don't lead yourself well. The reality is that nobody will like to follow you if you don't lead yourself first, if you don't lead yourself well first. And that's one of the main reasons why it's important to talk about this. If you are a leader, and all of us are leaders in our home, in our community, anywhere, we are leaders. But you will never be a leader worth following if you don't lead yourself well. You want to be a leader worth following at home, at work, in the community. But you know what? Exceptional self-leadership is essential to leadership. If you don't become a good leader with yourself, you will not be able to lead others well. You know leaders who are a mess personally. Those leaders that you know that are a mess personally, you don't like to follow them. You don't want to be like them. And one of where we first learn this is when we are actually at home and we see certain stuff that we don't like about our parents. Right away we say, you know what, when I grow up, I don't want to be like my parents. I don't want to do like they do. Because when we see leaders not doing well, we don't want to be like them. We don't want to just do what they do. And we say, you know what, when I get to do it, I'll do it different. Whether or not you want to be like your parents depends upon how well they led themselves. That's going to be the key, the determined key if you want to be like your parents, whether they led themselves well. Solomon says that the children they find that the pride of the children is their parents. Basically, if you want your kids to actually follow your example, you have to learn how to lead yourself well. The second reason why exceptional self-leadership is the key to sustain influence. The second reason is that if you want to have influence, if you want to influence others, you have to lead yourself well first. This is not having authority. This is not. The thing is that people open to your influence when you actually know how to lead yourself. And the third reason why we should learn how to lead ourselves first is that exceptional self-leadership is the key to sustain performance. If you want productivity in life, if you want results, if you want your life to change, if you want a different outcome in life, you have to learn how to lead yourself first. When a leader burns out and flames out, it gets taken out. When you see a scandal, something that happened and the leader is taken out of the position, it's usually and often related to a poor self-leadership. It's usually that they couldn't control themselves, they couldn't lead themselves well. In reality, we all understand, we all put ourselves in their shoes, because the hardest person to lead is actually the person in the mirror. And you know what we discovered also? That great leaders last because they lead themselves first. Great leaders last because they lead themselves first. Today, I want to share with you three decisions there are three decisions, but I'm only going to share two of them today that will make you a better person, a better parent, a better leader, a better friend, or a better spouse. There's three decisions, but I'm only going to share two. And if you want to hear the third one, at the end, I'm going to let you know how we can actually share the third decision that will make you a better person leading yourself. Not leading others, but leading the hardest person to lead, which is yourself. So the first decision that I want to share with you out of three, but I'm only going to share two. The first one that I want to share with you is this one. If you decide the first one is, I will not lie to myself, even when the truth makes me feel bad about myself. The first decision that can make you a better person to lead yourself well is this one. I will not lie to myself, even when the truth makes me feel bad about myself. The reality is that there's worse thing than just feeling bad about yourself. Hanging on on what's bad about yourself is worse than feeling bad about yourself. Basically, if you go through the pain to tell you the truth, to tell yourself the truth, it's not as worse as actually sticking and hanging onto that bad behavior that you keep denying, that you don't have, that lie that you keep telling you, that you know that you keep doing. Because sometimes we just lie ourselves into things. We actually tell ourselves, no, it's going to be okay. You could spend that money and you will get it tomorrow. You could go out and have another relationship outside of your marriage and everything will be okay. Nobody will know. You could do it. You could take that from work. You could take and not tell nobody, and everybody will be okay. Nobody will notice. They have multiple of them. And we start lying to ourselves, knowing that something wrong is not going to come out right. You have never seen wrong gone right. You have never seen that. But we start selling ourselves. And it looks like there's something in us that actually it actually deceives us. It's actually like it's if there's somebody inside of us. It's like if there's two people inside of one body. And reality is, it reminds me of a verse that I want to share with you, that Jeremiah and the Old Testament share with the people of Israel. And he said this thing. This is great. He said, "The heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure. Who can understand it?" I'm going to repeat it again. The heart is deceitful above all things. All things, meaning there's nothing that can actually deceive you more than your own heart, than your own self. And then he asks the question, and he says, beyond cure, who can understand it? The reality is, the answer is, there's no one that can understand the heart. And we say to ourselves, that's why we say to ourselves, I don't know how come I did that. I don't know, what was I thinking that I did that? What was I thinking that I took that? What was I thinking that I treated that person that way? What was I thinking that I destroyed my family? What was I thinking that I destroyed my kids, the people that I actually loved? What was I thinking that I lost my job? What was I thinking that I was there late? What was I thinking that I didn't hold to the end of my contract? What was I thinking that I did the wrong thing? I don't know why I did that. In reality, when you say, I don't know why I did that, there's something you don't know about yourself. And reality is that you keep lying to yourself, thinking that what you're telling yourself is the truth. And you keep falling again and again for it. And the easiest person to deceive is the person in the mirror. Nobody does a better job selling you on a bad idea than yourself. Nobody does a better job selling you on a bad idea than yourself. I remember how when I used to drink in the weekends, I used to tell myself on Friday and Saturday night, you know what, go out, drink, and spend some money. And on Sunday, going to work, call your boss. I used to tell myself, I'm going to call my boss and I'm going to go put in some hours. I'm going to make up the money that I'm going to spend on Friday night and Saturday night. And then on Monday, I'm going to have money to pay my rent. And I used to sell myself in that lie. You know why? Because after I've been partying Friday and Saturday night, my body wasn't okay to actually go into work. But I kept selling myself on that lie, and I kept spending my money, and I kept failing to do and pay for my responsibility. And how many times in your life that has happened? How many times you have lied to yourself and you become a sucker for yourself? Meaning you are a sucker for you. Basically, you fall in your own lie. As soon as you see something you like, you start selling yourself. I'm not going to share how when I leased my last car, how I actually the sales guy didn't have to actually try to convince me. No, I convinced myself. I convinced my wife. I started selling myself in the idea of a new car. I really don't want to give you details because I want you to keep listening to what I'm saying. But in reality, as soon as you see something you like, right away you start selling yourself. Effective leadership requires brutal honesty with oneself. If you want to be a leader, a person that is worth following, if you want to lead yourself well, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You know why? Because you can't lead yourself as long as you're lying to yourself. You can't lead yourself as long as you're lying to yourself. You can't lead yourself as long as you're lying to yourself. I'm going to let that sink in for a little bit in your life. You can't lead yourself as long as you're lying to yourself. Have you ever tried to lead a liar at work or in anywhere, or one of your kids that lied to you? Have you ever tried to lead somebody that is a liar at work, for example? And you know what you do when somebody lies? When people lie at work, they usually fire a liar. They fire the liar. And that's what you need to do. You need to fire that old you that lies and hire a new version, more honest version of you. And from now on, you should tell yourself, I will not lie to myself. I'll tell myself the truth. And that's the beginning of a good self leadership. And that's the best place to start. And if you want to actually address, before you start lying to yourself or before you start selling yourself, you should start asking yourself, why am I doing this? Or better yet, why am I doing this really? And say it out loud. Why am I buying this? Why am I saying this? Why am I eating this? Why am I postponing this? Why am I avoiding this? Why am I keep going? Why do I keep going there? Why am I wearing this? Why am I going out with him? Why I haven't stopped this relationship? Really. Jesus made a powerful statement about that we can bring up to this conversation. And the powerful statement that Jesus says, and I know if you heard this before, I really know I know this is a very, very common and very well-known verse. And he says this, Jesus says, then you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. He said that truth sets us free. I'm going to repeat it again. Jesus said, the truth will set us free. The opposite is true as well. Dishonesty imprisons us. When we lie to ourselves, we slave ourselves. We put jail around ourselves. We imprison ourselves when we are less than honest with ourselves. So I invite you to tell yourself the unfiltered truth. Tell yourself the unfiltered truth. Tell yourself the unfiltered truth. And if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do anything, because who am I to tell you what to do? But I want to remind you this. You owe it to yourself to tell yourself the truth. You owe it to yourself to admit the truth to yourself. So let's decide together. Let's decide together. I will not lie to myself, even when the truth makes me feel bad about myself. The second decision that I want to share with you today, that if you make this decision, will make your life better as a parent, as a friend, as a spouse, as a leader in your community, as a leader in your job. The second decision is this. The second decision is this. I will prioritize what I value most over what I want now. I'm going to repeat it again. I will prioritize what I value most over what I want now. I will give priority to what I value most over what I want now. If you're a leader, if you're leading a group, or everyone is a leader at home, and everywhere you are, you're leading somebody. But the first thing that every leader should know, every person should know, is where are you leading yourself to? Where are you leading yourself? You should know where you're going with the stuff you do. And the reason to know where you're going, for you to know where you're going or where you're leading yourself, you really need to know what you value. What's the destination that you're taking? What's the destination? Where you're going to end up? The answer should be towards what you value most. Basically, we should all be moving forward to what we value most, not what you want now, because what we want now is rarely what we want the most. Last year, I shared a series of teaching, and I titled that series, How to Get What You Really Want. And if you want to see it, it's all in our app. But in reality is, we were sharing in that series that lurking in the shadows of what we want now is what we value most. And most people really do not discover what that is. And to lead yourself well, you need to figure it out what that is. The truth is that self-serving, as this sound, the truth is that even as hard as this sound, this is the truth, and I'm going to share with you. If you fail to discover what you really value, you will never get what you really want. If you don't discover what you really value most, you will never get what you really, 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 really want. Most people never figure that out until it's too late. For the follower of Jesus, if you're a follower of Jesus, there is a twist to this. Because if you have decided to follow Jesus, Jesus already laid out what we should value most by him showing us what he values most. And if you're not a Christian, you're off the hook. So this is for those who have actually decided to follow and put Christ as the Lord and Savior. So for us, Jesus already defined and showed what he valued most and invited us to do the same. And he said this when he was meeting with his disciples. He told them this. A new command I give you, love one another as I have loved you. So you must love one another. He defined what was important to him. For Jesus, it was important to love you. For him, it was important to love me. You and I was what Jesus valued most. And that's why he was leading his life towards. And he invites us today to actually do the same, to put people first, to value others, to go for what we value most instead of what we want now. Why this is important? Why this is important? Jesus answered this. He said, by this everyone will know that you are my disciple if you love one another. If you do what I do, you value what I value, and that's how people will know that you follow me, that you're my disciple. Years later, Paul says the same thing that Jesus says, but in different words, and I want to share with you. Paul, the Apostle Paul, comes into the pages of history and says this. He says, the only thing that counts, if you want to know, like if this is the first time listening to this message, or if this is your 100th time and you're confused about the scripture, there's so many things that preacher says that are important to do, but Paul tried to resume everything, like summarize everything. That will be the word. Summarize everything in one sentence. And he says this: the only thing that counts. In other words, he's saying that the thing that is the most value is this. He says the only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. I'm going to repeat it again. The only thing that counts is faith expressing itself through love. Confidence in God expresses itself through love and concern for others. I'm going to repeat it again. If you want to be a person of faith, a follower of Christ, if you want to show that you really have confidence in God, that you really believe in God, the way that is expressed is through loving and being concerned for others. How I love others shows how much I believe and trust God in my life. That's where us as followers of Jesus should be leading ourselves to. And that's why we should value most. And that's what we should consider this. You will never be happy. You should consider this question that I'm going to ask you. If faith and love are the things that counts the most, I ask you this: will you be happy with your life if at the end of your life you have lived your life with a faith filled with faith and love as the center of your life? I'm going to repeat it again. Will you be happy with your life if at the end of your life you had lived your life with faith and love at the center of your life? Will you be happy if at the end your whole life can be summarized with faith and love? The answer to that is yes. And every time I go to a funeral, I see this question answered. Because you know what? Every time somebody in a funeral speaks about the person that passed away, usually what they speak about is how that person affected their life and how that person added value to their life. Because you know why? The value of a life is always measured by how much it was given away. You know, you want to know how much value a life, somebody's life has? Just take a look how much of it was given away. You know what? The last funeral I was, it was the funeral of Freddy Rodriguez. He's from our church. And everyone that stood up to speak about him said, oh, Freddie helped me in this. He was there for me. He preached the gospel to me. He gave me this. He was a great person. He loved his family. He loved me. He showed it every time. Because the true value of a life is measured by how much of it was given away. So I'm going to repeat that again. The first decision is I will not lie to myself, even when the truth about myself makes me feel bad about myself. And the second decision is I will prioritize what I value most over what I want now. There are 3 decisions, but today I'm only going to share 2 of them. And if you want to know the third decision that I'm inviting you to do so you could become a better leader, so you could become better at leading yourself, if you want to know, at the end of this message, you could fill out the section where it says the connection card, and we will let you know how we can share the third decision with you in a different setting. Just please let us know. If you're interested on the third one, just contact us at the end of the message and the form, fill it out, and the website or on the link. If you're watching it through Facebook, just hit the link and let us know, and we will share the third decision with you. For today, this is the only 2 that I'm going to share. But before I might finish my time with you, I really want to let you know. That every one of us wants to end up somewhere in life. You want to finish well, and I know that. You want to do better. One thing I know about you, and I know about everyone that is watching now, you really want to end up somewhere in life. You really want to get to a place where you actually tell yourself, everything that I did made a difference. Everybody ends up somewhere in life. And here in El Camino, I want and we want you to end up somewhere on purpose. I want you to end up well. I want you to do better. I want you to make a difference. But let me tell you one thing. There's only one person that can ensure that happens. And it's not the person in the White House. It's not the person in the House of Representatives or the school that you're going to, or your house or your parents. It's not none of those people that can ensure that you end up in a place where you're proud of. The only person that can ensure that you finish well is the person in the mirror, is the person that you see every morning. And the reality is that we face our greatest challenge every morning in the mirror. But let me tell you something. Every morning in the mirror, you also face someone else. And that person that you face in the mirror is the person with the image of God in him. That person that you face in the mirror has the image of God inside. And that person that has the image of God, it's worth you telling the truth to it. So you face someone that was created to conquer. You face someone that has the DNA of God in it. You face someone that is wired to prioritize what its value most over what you want now. And that person that you face in the mirror was created in the image and the likeness of God. Lead yourself well. The person in the mirror is counting on you. Parents, if you're watching, lead yourself well. Your kids are counting on you. Those little faces in your home are looking up to you. Lead yourself well, because everyone is looking how you lead yourself so they can actually learn from you. If you really want to make a difference, let's learn how to lead ourselves well. And today I have shared with you 2 or 3 decisions that will make you lead yourself better. And if you make those 2 decisions, including the 3 that I will share with you if you connect with us, I can assure you that your life will be better. Imagine how your life will be if you stop lying to yourself. Imagine how everything will change if you stop lying to yourself and you tell yourself the honest truth. Imagine what will change in your life if instead of getting what you want, you actually do what you value most, and instead of actually prioritizing what you want, you actually go for what you value most. Imagine what will change in your life if you stop spending your life in things and you start investing your life in people that you love and people that you care for. Singles out there, if you're looking for someone, I know that you're looking for someone that leads themselves well. But I ask you to become the person that the person you're looking for is looking for. Lead yourself how you want the person that you're looking for to lead themselves. If you do that, you will be easier to spot. Nothing says more about you, and nothing says more to the people around you than how you lead yourself. So let's all decide. I will not lie to myself, even when the truth makes me feel bad about myself. And second, let's decide. I will prioritize what I value most over what I want now. Every person should make this decision. I haven't given the 3rd decision, but if you decide that you want to know that 3rd decision, just fill the section where it says the connection card, and we'll connect with you to share it with you. And let me tell you one thing. Nothing will be better than the person in front of the mirror. If you want things to change, you need to change the person in the mirror, because our nation will never be better than the person in the mirror. And before I finished, one more thing I want to ask you. Why don't you take a small step in your faith today? A small step that will bring great results. If you want to take a step in your faith, we want to help. Please connect with us, and we'll see you next time.